right, good morning and welcome back. My name is Ada Chen and I will be your MC for the Collaboration and Tools track. So you may have attended some of our talks yesterday, but just as a reminder, Collaboration and Tools, we are here to just remind you about the practices and tools that can help you and your entire organization work better together. Before we start and I hand it over to our speakers today, some housekeeping points. If you haven't already, please silence your phones, put them on vibrate. We don't want to interrupt anyone in the middle of their talk. Also, if you haven't already, please download the Summit app. At the end, we will be asking you to take a survey in the app about what you thought about the session, and the app is the best way to figure out where to go and when to be in what room. If we have time at the end, I will be running this mic around for live Q&A, so make sure to hold your questions till then. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Katharina and Stephan.
Hi all, my name is Katharina and I'm an IT specialist from IT-Systemhaus of Bundesagentur für Arbeit. What is the Bundesagentur für Arbeit? It's a head office of all job offices in Germany. And they don't only take care of the unemployed persons, they also take care of handicapped persons, pay all family benefits and big advantages for employers. And then, so you can imagine, for this wide range of organization, we need very specialized software. And therefore, we are organized in our own organization called IT-Systemhaus.
So, hi, my name is Stephan. I'm working as a senior consultant for the company Ancud IT. We are a platinum partner and working together for several years now with Atlassian. We offer to our customers consulting, training, and also development tasks for integrating the Atlassian world in their existing software world.
So, what was in the beginning? After my parental time, I started working in a marketing department, take care of the web, pushing some news, prepare presentations. And I have a pretty nice boss called Alfred. And it was Friday afternoon. I've got a mail from Alfred. There was only one sentence. Please resolve the actual tracking system called Serena Business Mashup into a new software stack, Jira. What is Jira? Could be Alfred any longer a nice guy? I want to work part-time. I have 2 baby girls. How could I manage it? So at once I have the imagination of middle age. Why? You know, I am born in Nuremberg. Nuremberg is a very old city with a historical castle right inside. So for me, the new job seems like pushing the Middle Age into a new century. And Stephan was born in Nuremberg also. He has good explanations for my imaginations.
So often, when you make a deep dive in your organization or came as, like me, to an organization as an external consultant, you feel like you teleported to the mid-age. You saw different kingdoms with different rules, different currencies, own languages, and the citizens of these kingdoms are not able to interact over the borders with other kingdoms.
So, that was the same conditions like in IT-Systemhaus, my primary conditions, because every project has their own workflows and individual solutions and own communications, for instance, the label of fields and the meaning. So moreover, they really like their borders around their projects because they want any transparency and they want to have their own working process. And so for me, my new job was, and my vision, to create a new standard for all projects with Jira. So I have the idea of middle age again, because like King Arthur's round table, I wanted an agent of each project so that I get to know the different workflows and the different team sizes and so on. And And at the beginning of the working group I founded, there was only agent of more or meaningless projects. So I have to say, make sure that you don't get depressed if you experience the same, because after a while, even the big project get keen on Jira because they see the first results and thought it could be a big chance for us to use Jira too. So, how do I reach it that they get keen on Jira? During our working group, try to find a new definition for standard. I settle up some basic Jira lessons, so all the users, the whole crowd, get the look and feel of Jira. And they really want to work with Jira because it's easy to use and it makes fun. And then some projects came and say, we really want to switch to Jira, and then I take the opportunity and give them close attendance that they feel it's good, we have help every time, and so we really want to take Jira. And at the same time, I realize I need a new documentation system because till this time we use Plone, and it doesn't work very good with Jira. So I choose Confluence because it's perfect. It's like the same simple way like Jira, and it's a good combination and easy use. And you can imagine, but still now, very often, because the simple use and so on, the border around the most of the project was still there. And very often I get the question, why can everybody see my issues? I don't want this, yeah?
So when you think over to the first slide where we came from the kingdoms, we won't break the silos between the different projects. So the projects must learn how to be a learning project and learn mistakes made by other people. So the cause why we choose a transparent way of keeping information in the Atlassian systems is everybody can perform better when he shares his knowledge with other projects. You keep in mind, at the Bundesagentur für Arbeit, we currently run about 350 software developing projects in different sizes. Team sizes are from 2 members up to 600 members.
So therefore, breaking the silo thinking, it was possible to introduce a simple security model from Atlassian, the standard. It's only 3 rules: users, developers, and administrators. That was too fast. I really, sometimes a quick one. No, this one. Yes, and then more and more people really want Jira. And then I realized it's too much work for me because I have to administrate the system and consult the projects. You have to know, currently we have more than 4,000 users for Jira and Confluence and 2,500 for Bitbucket. So it was time again to talk with Alfred. Because I said I need support, and it's always better travel together than alone. Then you can get more knowledge, some new ideas. It would be a very good thing. And I could convince Alfred, and then I get a very qualified partner called Stephan.
So as you see, we are very standing to our city. So I joined the Bundesagentur für Arbeit at August 2015, and I go with Katharina to inspect and analyze all the things what currently be done. So our major task was bringing the old established city to a new modern architecture. How we could do this? We don't decided to make a master plan with a Gantt timeline part on it, so we decided to make some test balloons to get the feedback back from the users, how we could prepare the tool chain for best support of the use cases. So on the one hand, the user interfaces from Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket are very helpful for this because the users feel very comfortable on this, so the building, the navigations are similar on each tools. The UI is fast enough that the user must not wait for this. You also keep in mind that we drive very standardized. This means we are not in the point to install every plugin what is needed by one project, and our main task was to establish collaborative work. So with the functionality and collaboration, it's a perfect setup to bring the user in a new way of work. So the second thing was, when the journey begins, get in touch. How we bring the users to the new world. They are all coming from another tools. They are mostly still existing, but not in an operative way. They're only there for gathering the old data in this side. The first thing was all projects which are established in this tool chain, we come later on it back, can be seen by everyone. There's no hiding of information. Everyone can read and bring him in with his information or his knowledge to different problems on the side. The main focus was to set up the whole system that everyone can reach any information, nevertheless, in which tool he starts.
And moreover, we introduced a workflow for all teams, for all projects. We started with a bug workflow. And that fits for all, because you can run through very fast, because only with 3 transition, open, work, close, and you can go through to this workflow very detailed for the large projects. There are about 50 status they can use. So everybody could use this workflow, and they feel it's a win-win for them.
For that, when you think 15 states are very big count in a workflow scenario, you must think we have some projects, they come with workflows with more than 50 states to us. Yeah, so for this one, it was a big change to get a new workflow with only 15 states, how we can map our old behavior to the new world where we only have 15 workflows to use on this side.
Yeah, and therefore we need a very good documentation for these transitions, and there is Confluence a big help for us, because everybody can see it and command it and write down his own documentation.
So take the chance when the management comes to you and say, hey, we want to introduce a new tool because it's cheaper, better, more colorful. So take the chance, because this helps the organization to cut off all behavior and break the silo thinking of an existing organization.
So at this point, we reach a new world, because everybody works together and the borders break down, and they realize it's a win-win for them to work together, because they save time, they get more experiences, they can talk about their mistakes and learn from each other. And that was the beginning of a learning organization too.
How it works. So I must check if I have a laser pointer in this here. No. Okay, we start open in the left circle, Confluence. We make a test balloon with different projects of different sizes, how we can make a new digital workplace to take the requirements. So Confluence itself is a good starting point for creating new requirements. When you imagine the first thing or the first step of a requirement is an ID. So Confluence is an ideal place to collect these IDs, working on these IDs completely with your team. You can collaborate in Confluence with comments or inline comments and bring your IDs into a new requirement. When the requirement is good enough, so this means can be implemented by a team or in a project, you can create Jira issues out of the Confluence page or map the Jira issues directly to an epic. So the team itself, when the issue arrives in Jira, is the right circle on the top, can plan the work on the issue. So it depends on the method what the project team is used. So may Scrum or Kanban, also other agile or classical methods. The benefit what you get is that your stakeholders, which their work is clearly focused in Confluence, can also see the ongoing work on workflow. So you see in which status the new feature currently is, which team is currently working on that. We also have an existing system at the BA scenario. It's called Silk. Silk is a tool from Micro Focus to make test measurements and running tests. For our scenario, the case was all the test cases were also described in Confluence. So when a new feature will be created, all the testers write their IDs and testing procedure also down in Confluence. So when we launched the system, it was horrible for them because they have to start open Confluence, open Silk Central, and start to write the data again into the new tool. For this, we designed and also implement a plugin to synchronize the page trees in Confluence, which are tagged by Jira issues, directly to Silk Central, so that the testers are able to do their jobs in their tool world. On the other side, you see Bitbucket. This is the integration, also a tool from Atlassian as Git repository. So the benefit for using this connection of the tools is the developers can easily start their development task out of Jira. So they're able to create a new branch out of the issue, and everyone can see if there are any pull requests inside this feature currently. On the other side, there's yet another tool, Remedy. Remedy in the organization is still there, is for operational tasks. This means all the operation problem issues will be created from the operations team in Remedy and will be directly also synced to Jira. What we have in this picture and also in the toolchain is every user has a clear focus what tool he needs to do his work. So challenge 1, how we get all the users onboarded in the system. Katharina introduced a new system with common lessons to get the users in touch with Jira to know how they can use this. The second part was that we set up a couple, or on a timeline, we do every second weeks for each tool a one-day training to get the users onboarded in this tool suite. We built classrooms for users, means end users, with technical background or non-technical background, project administration and space administration for Confluence, and also multiplicator trainings. The idea behind the multiplicator training was we need, and for this I can tell you, the complete toolchain, means Jira, Confluence, partly Bitbucket, and also Crowd, will be run for the administration tasks by Katharina and me, so we have not a huge team to support all the customers. For that we have the idea to raise multiplicator trainings. A multiplicator, in our mind, was a guy or a person or a teammate on project side which gather all the informations and feedback from the teammates and support them directly. So that more or less it's like the first level support for an organization. The lessons what we learned on this train was multiplicator trainings fail. Why? What we recognized after the first set of trainings, I think it was 3 or 4 trainings, we got the first feedback, can you help me to be a multiplicator in my project? So then we inspected the organizational hierarchy of jobs in project, and still there was no project definition for a multiplicator. So the users there, they want to be support system, but they cannot take the chance because in their organization there was no job for this role. So then, after this lessons learned, we changed our model. We started to make directly coaching of the projects. Coaching of the projects means that we, in our roles, go into the projects for a while and consult them how to use Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, and how to feel them comfortable on the side. Means we show them how to map their project needs of the old systems to the new system, shared good practices with them, and build the solution what they want inside the BA standard. You keep in mind, we have heard from the bug workflow, which is completely standardized. We currently have seven different issue types combined with different workflows to meet all the needs of the projects. What we can do with the coaching approach is that we create a flow for the projects inside the BA standard. What the users also learned, and this was the feedback, that using boards mostly in the mind of users is attached to some agile approaches. Means, oh, there's a Kanban board, so must I now use Kanban as a method? No. We told the users you can use a board as an alternative to the classical issue navigator of Jira to bring your work in front of, so everyone in the team knows what should I do as next, and also the UI of the boards is more intuitive than the classical work approach with detailed views for the Jira issues.
And this coaching is completed with the COP. What means COP? COP is the community of practice. That means from the users for the users. So we thought it is a very good idea if us can give users a quick feedback. They only have to press a button. We choose therefore the Atlassian button with the megaphone symbol. And then automatically it's opened in Jira issue, and you can describe your wishes or complaints and so on. And we collect all the issues on a Confluence side, and on Friday morning every month we have this COP, and we discuss them top down because you can vote the Jira issues. So that sounds very easy to found, but in the beginning it was really hard. First, to explain the users, here's a button, please press the button. It's a good thing, you can use it, there's no danger. Yeah? And then, first of all, we have the meeting only physically. And that was a big problem, we realized after time, because the IT system house of Bundesagentur für Arbeit is spread all over the city. And with the locations, you sometimes need more than 1 hour to take your time to get to the new location. Maybe there is a meeting. That is the reason we now offer the meeting via Skype too.
So integration between development and operations, in our case, operations and development completely, not only kingdoms, so completely own spaces. Yeah? So operation is using their own tools, and they are not able to switch their tools to our more or less modern architecture. For that, at the end, we can also tell something about. So you can see classical operation scenario is based on email communication. So opens a problem, we write an email to a software project lead or project owner, or take the phone, give him a call, hey, there's a problem in operations, you need to fix them. So our approach was, okay, we won't stop this overhead in communication, because the problem in, for email communication, the most of you know, when an email arrives with a problem, it's pending about 5-6 times. The context of the email have nothing to do with the subject of the email. So we want a system where the complete information is sustainable, trackable in the system. So for this, we write an interface to connect the Remedy and Jira together to keep all the informations in sync. This means when a problem arrives, it could be in the operational team, they can raise a remedy problem issue. The problem issue will be directly synced to Jira on the other side, so the development team can continue still the work in their own tool environment and work as a classical issue on that. Every change on each issue will be synchronized, so the information is for both tools, could be seen in both tools at any time.
So, and you have imagined that now it's a very big crowd on the stack, and first of all, they wanted that they migrate all the old issues from Serena Business Mashup into Jira. And so I started explaining them they should think over this, because maybe it's a good chance to get rid of wasted information or old information. So for the first project, it was possible that they started at Jira with the first issues and closed the old issues in the Serena Business Mashup and count the accesses to the old system, so they could make a decision if they really want a migration.
So we collect 3 types of projects. The first type, this is completely the happy path, because they don't need a migration. Could be projects finished some release container and they could start in a plain new world or new projects. The second project came to us, okay, we don't need a complete history of our product. We need the pending issues. For that, we designed a standard migration using the standard importers of Jira, Confluence, and make an overtake for the repository by a colleague to move CVS, SVN, and all code repositories, what you can imagine on this side, because at the Bundesagentur we have all of them. This was also kind of, not so happy is work, but we can do it on an easy way. The third one, this is, we call it tanker products. These are products living for a long while, mostly more than 5 up to 10 years now, with huge development teams. They came to us and say, okay, we will switch to your new toolchain, but we need all the information of our issues, also historical issues, means features, implementations, what we have done 2005, we must still reach them in any way. Information is not only metadata mapping, there's also notes, attachments, some screenshots, tracking on tracing some errors on that. For that, we write our own migration toolkit. We call it Bamitoki, which is able to connect a classical system like Serena Business Mashup and map all the project data in very long runs. So I came to the counts and map it to Jira or Confluence. For the biggest project, this was data, nearly 10 years of developing software migration. This was a complete weekend where this migration ran for this one project. For the other hand, we came up, you still also see it may in your organization, is there are different existing wikis, media wikis, or Plone, or SharePoints, or something, where the projects understand, hey, we need our data in Confluence because all the team orchestration we also do in Confluence. So it's no sense for us to have so many tools for our users. And also for this, we have, based on an old migration toolkit from Atlassian, the Universal Content Migration Kit, tuned it up to make the migrations possible. So now we are able to migrate any wiki inside the BR to our Confluence spaces with a perfect rule mapping, and also take all the screens out of this wiki sites into the new space in Confluence. Closing the gaps, or lessons learned on the site. We do trainings also for Confluence. What we learned is, also when the users know how to use the tool itself, it's a worst case scenario for them to present them white pages in the editor. Why? This is a problem of creativity, and also what kind of information I should enter to the system. When you may, as a requirement, all the users are like the work, they open a Word template, can fill it out, and all is perfect. So we started to create templates inside of Confluence. Not just normal Confluences, because we also have the requirement, we are a governmental organization, that we need more or less handbooks to software, so like architecture handbook, development guides, and so on. We put them all into Confluence so the user can create out of a space a complete handbook into his space. This is done with basic functionality out of Confluence. The benefit when the users now use Confluence is they can completely interact. So they can write comments inside Confluence, can start to make their reviews also in Confluence. At the end, we have the task that all the information what is set up into Confluence must be printed out as a PDF document. So for Jira, the lessons, what we learned is flexibility is also complexity. What we mean for this is the flexibility of Jira for many users lands up in more complexity, because they didn't trained in how you can use tools on a flexible way. So they want a strict way how to handle these tools, move issues forward, what are my click sequences, what I have to do. When you keep in mind our bug workflow with 15 states, we are focused on using this workflow in boards, because it's much easier to design a flow on such a huge workflow where you're not able to use all the states in this board. Silk Central Test, I mentioned, is only a synchronized mechanism to map Confluence pages to Silk Central and give in Silk Central links back to Jira issues and also the descriptions of Confluence and some other metadatas. We also use Confluence for reporting the stuff inside of Jira, because what we learned is that stakeholders are mostly interested in a report how good we stand with our project. I don't need a deep dive in issues. So we use also the gadgets out of Jira directly in Confluence to create some report pages. This is also a cause for this was we need on some points to create a fixed setup of these reports, means we take out PDFs for this. Infinite transactions.
Genau. So for this system, we have countless transmissions now, and you can imagine if this process is stopped, that is system critical or mission critical. So. So therefore, we really want to introduce a data center. But till then, we have to collect new ideas how to relieve our system that is still working good enough for the users. And therefore, we think over a good system for archiving project. And Stephan has a good idea for that.
So keep back in your minds, we currently operate Confluence and Jira with about 4,000 users, for Bitbucket 2,500 users. The requirements, what we have to have a really fast tool chain on that to move out unneeded data into an external system. We currently not operate on a data center infrastructure, so this means all parts of the tool chain are served by single servers only. Our idea, and also we started already, is how we need to archive projects. The basic needs for that is all data must still searchable by the user. This means we don't want to plug in a new system to the tool chain, so the user must be able to search the old or archived issues out of the issue navigator or out of Confluence. For us as an administration team, it's very important how we could move back the data to the system. When a project comes and said, hey, we have archived last year a project name, blah, blah, please reactivate this project because we won't continue this project. We decided to make an integration with Lucidwork Fusion. This is built top on Solr and Lucene index framework, is open source at this time. Lucidwork Fusion is not an open source license. Why we use this, we are able to structure the complete project data XML based to the new system and can, via plugins, recreate the complete project in Jira. So the user itself has no project or application switch. He goes into the issue navigator, choice on archive, and make his JQL query and get the issues back from the Lucene index.
So, our vision is Jira and Confluence for all. Why? Integrates the whole organizational world in one tool chain. That means no digital breaks any longer. Information can be gathered in one tool chain. You have all the historical information, and that optimize the process and make it much easier and simple to use. And moreover, you don't need any custom connectors to develop any longer. And users have all the same user interfaces and haven't learned any new phase of the software. And you can use for all tools or for all the tool chains the common procedure model. And that is our big vision, to have for one project in a one world and all projects in one space. That means it's like a Milky Way of the projects in the space.
Thank you.
We have time for 1 or 2 questions if anyone has any.
Thank you. My question is, how did you manage to get Jira and Confluence approved by the work council, like internally? Because one thing I've seen is that within public organizations, often there is, whenever you try to trigger more transparency, you've got the work council saying, hey, this might be problematic because everyone can see anything and everyone can also observe anything. How did you manage to get it approved?
It's always a topic, and we have to go through the personal advisory, and because they want to secure the employers. Yeah, but so I always convince them because it's cheaper and it's easier to use. But what is forbidden is that we take time. You need to close the issue. That's forbidden because then you can measure the employee and make some back-forward results, and they don't want this. So I think it would be a solution if you say, I make the first step and introduce it and look for such things that are easy to use and they are not complicated and dangerous for the people, so haven't any fear. So they're only easy things. And my hint is don't measure the time.
But also the advantage of the Bundesagentur für Arbeit is that we don't talk in the agile transition only in a bottom-up scenario. There's also a top-down scenario for that, because the management of the Bundesagentur has really committed to be an agile organization on that. So this also supports this complete transparency scenario on that.
Awesome. We are at time, so thank you, Katharina and Stephan. Please make sure to take the survey in the mobile app to let them know how they did. And our next collaboration and tools talk is actually in this room. It's 7 secrets for leading a team remotely. So if you want to hear about that, stick around. Otherwise, thanks for coming.